I don't know what I would do without a good plan in place. As a mom of 3 boys ages 7 and under who is working full time and trying to keep up with the demands both at home and at my job, I need to have a plan and a plan that works. So I have been sharing all month and in the past months on my channel all these ways that we can better plan and organize our lives. But today I want to sit down and actually talk about what goes inside your planner. What should you put in your planner to keep track of your life? Now, as you can see, I am a big fan of the pen and paper kind of planning. I do also use some digital tools and some calendar scheduling programs that I'll talk about in future videos, but this here is the Tools for Wisdom planner, and I will link it for you in the description. I've been using this kind of planner for about 5 years now, and I just love it because it already has so many of the things that I love to keep track of. But regardless of which planner you use or which planning system you use, these tips today are going to be so helpful. So I'm going to be looking down at my notes periodically, but we will just run through these things and I'll give you a glimpse inside my planner to show you how I do this. Really quickly, if you are new, I'm Amber with Solutions for Simplicity, and my whole mission is to equip you with easy strategies to live a simpler, more purposeful, and productive life. So as I mentioned, planning has been just essential for me so that I can keep things organized and try and make sure that I get everything done that I need to, at least on time, right? And so yeah, this year has been really challenging on a lot of fronts. I think all of us have had plans disrupted because of 2020, but I do still think that planning is an invaluable tool that we can use to make sure that we keep our lives together. And so that's why I love to share this stuff with you. The very first thing that I recommend putting inside your planner is to go ahead and write down any birthdays, anniversaries, or other important dates that you know about. I love to automatically make sure that I am planning ahead for those special celebrations. That way I don't miss sending anybody a card, or I make sure and leave time or cushions around important big holidays and things that are coming up. So make sure that when you get your brand new planner, you are first and foremost keeping track of the big dates that are coming in the next year. The second thing that I recommend putting into your planner is time that you are going to take off. Now, this is a really important note because so many of us, especially us type A perfectionist people, we try and cram way too much into our plans. And as I mentioned in my previous video, that just sets us up for failure. One of the ways that we can make sure that we don't get thrown off track is by creating realistic plans and making sure that we build in important cushions for time that we're gonna have a down day. And for me, this includes days where I know in advance that maybe my kids' school is gonna be closed, and of course, more than ever, there are a lot of these unexpected days where they have to stay home and do virtual learning or something like that. So that has definitely thrown a wrench in. I will definitely admit that. But even before COVID in 2020, I was really adamant about making sure that I could anticipate what might be coming up and make sure that if we were going to have a busy couple of days, or if I knew I had a lot of big things approaching, that I was automatically writing in what I call cushion days, or my mom used to call mental health days. Days that you are not going to be trying to get anything done. You're not going to be working, you're not going to be stressed out, you're not going to be making plans, and you're instead just going to use that time to catch up or relax, which I know sounds impossible if you're a busy mom like me, but the point is the same. We've got to have some blank space in our plans, otherwise they will inevitably fail. All right, number 3 that is so important to keep track of in your planner is the me time that you are going to use for things that are any type of self-care activity. I even write the times that I know I'm gonna wake up and go to bed, because as I've mentioned before, getting consistent sleep is absolutely crucial for productivity. And you can tell the theme of these videos is that a lot of these things are nice in theory and then go back and forth depending on the season of mom life we might be in. So, full disclosure, I don't always get consistent sleep depending on how well my kids are sleeping. But that doesn't change the fact that I know I need to be going to bed and getting up at the same time every day. And so I try and have that rhythm where I know when I'm going to bed, when I'm going to wake up, and I write those times into my daily plans so that it keeps everything, on track, and I can plan the rest of my day accordingly. Now, other things that I would include here for self-care are specific times that you are going to exercise. We all know that we are much more likely to make a habit and keep a commitment if it's firmly scheduled into our planner. So consider this an appointment with yourself. Make that commitment and hold yourself accountable. Keep track of when you do exercise. Keep track of, whatever goal you have that you're working towards, whether it is to drink a certain amount of water or exercise a certain amount of time or conduct a certain amount of reps on a given exercise. You want to be able to track your progress, but I digress. My main point here is just to make sure that you are purposely planning in time for you, because if you don't plan this in, and especially plan it in from the beginning, then a million other things are going to come up and take your time away, and you will end up feeling exhausted and all the more overwhelmed because you haven't refueled yourself. You haven't given yourself a chance to take care of yourself, which is the foundation for anything else that we are trying to accomplish. Number 4, the fourth thing to put in your planner are your work blocks. Now, whether you work outside the home or not, I imagine that you have activities and, ambitions that you are trying to achieve. So it's really, really helpful to block out set times where you are going to do nothing but those kinds of activities. If you have a job like me where you have all these responsibilities, but thankfully they are not specified in, say, a 9-to-5 window, that can be a blessing and a curse because the work piles up. But unless I specify times that I am going to sit down and do it, then it's easy for a million other things to come up. We have to try and compartmentalize our lives and really put into our planner the time that we're going to be working so that we can then have the opposite, right? We can have time where we aren't working and we can give ourselves that break we just talked about. So, for example, I need to work 40 hours a week. That enables me to go into my planner and block out the times that I know should be dedicated solely to work activities. And if something happens to come up and I'm not able to do my job during those hours that I set aside, then I need to find backup times to come in and make up the work that I missed. I know that, everybody's situation is a little bit unique, and the easiest thing here would be if you do have set work hours like that 9-to-5 schedule so that you can automatically plan the rest of your life around it. But again, whether you work or work outside the home or not, I would just urge you to put a time boundary around when you want to be on call or on duty or, available for work or, again, things that are pushing your ambitions and success goals forward, and when you are going to be off. Number 5. Should go without saying, but we need to keep track of appointments and any special events that pop up from time to time. Now, these are things that often don't happen on a repeated basis, so we might not be able to plan for them months and months in advance. But if you are not keeping track of the appointments that you have, obviously things can slip through the cracks, and it's really, really helpful, I find, to designate different colors in your planner for different kinds of things. So as I have mentioned before, I really love to use different colors to designate categories of tasks or appointments that relate to my work, that relate to me personally, that relate to my kids or my family, that relate to the household kinds of stuff that we might need to do. But I would just encourage you to make sure that you put these appointments in and make sure and set reminders for yourself so that if you get closer to that date and you need to change it for any reason, you can. Moving along, the 6th thing to put inside your planner are any deadlines or due dates that are associated with the important things that you are working for. I have tons of deadlines for my job, and if I don't keep track of these, then things can get really ugly really fast. But I've also learned the hard way that it's not enough to have that firm deadline in place. I also need to set a soft deadline for myself, a week or two in advance of when that big project is coming due, so that I can really make sure and try and be on top of everything, right? Get it done early at best, or at least it all comes down to the wire, but I have it fresh in mind, knowing that that deadline is approaching, and that the soft deadline I set for myself still gives me a little bit of wiggle room so that I don't miss the actual deadline as it comes up. The seventh thing that I love including in my planner is my to-do list. I keep a running to-do list of all the little things that pop into my head throughout the day, and this is why I love having a paper planner, because I'm just such a proponent of being able to highlight or check things off as they get done. I get such silly satisfaction out of doing that. So let me know in the comments if you are like me and it just feels so good to tick things off of your to-do list. I do want to mention, as I just said, that it's helpful to include different colors for different categories of tasks. This way you can try and plan in similar kinds of tasks at the same time when you're going to actually cross things off. It's really great for minimizing the switching costs associated with doing different types of tasks if we batch things instead and do similar kinds of things at the same time. So if you color code your to-do list, then you can have a sense of how many tasks you need to do for a given category. And again, it just helps you plan those more specifically into your planner. But the other big thing that I want to point out here is that, we can't let our to-do lists run away with ourselves. Productivity is not about getting as much as you can done. It's not about the number of things that you cross off your to-do list. It is instead so much more important that we are doing the right things, that we are being effective with the time that we have, and really prioritizing the things that matter for us, right? For our values, for our priorities, and for our success goals. I've made a very helpful resource to help you pinpoint where you should start when you have a mile-long to-do list. So I will link that for you in the description. It's called my Pinpoint Your Priorities Playbook, and it's a 20-page workbook that walks you through all of these guided exercises for figuring out not just what to do first, but what you are specifically not going to do, so that you don't waste your time and get caught up in just ticking off all the tasks on your to-do list. What are we on? Number 8, I think. The 8th thing to include in your to-do list is your meal plan. Again, I, as a busy mom, have to have some sort of idea of what I'm gonna be making and serving my family for dinner. And these aren't super fancy, elaborate meals, but if I don't go into the week with a plan, then inevitably dinner time comes around and everybody's hungry, and it's just not a fun situation. But I also like to have this written in the same place that I write all of my other plans, all of my other tasks, so that I see it when I start my day and I'm looking over what the day's gonna look like, all the things that are gonna happen. And that way I can take anything out of the freezer that might need to thaw for dinner, or I can think about what's coming up in the days ahead. And I would highly encourage you to just have a single place, again, where you are keeping track of all these moving parts of your life. The next thing that you should put in your planner is a bit optional, but highly recommended. And again, planners like the Tools for Wisdom planner here make this so easy. But that is that you should include your overarching goals and what you're working towards, right? I love that this planner has a variety of pages, both at the beginning of the year and at the beginning of every month, for you to really isolate what you want to accomplish in that time frame. And it's so helpful for me to think through what I want to be able to see, what I want to have done at the end of that year or that month, and even on a weekly basis. We've got to constantly be checking in with our goals and tracking our progress to know if we're really making that momentum that we want to be seeing. So I highly recommend at least writing out your goals inside your planner, if not also tracking them as well. And tools like this make it so easy to do that. All right, those are the major things that I recommend including in your planner. Now again, whether you use the paper kind of planner or a digital tool, you can find any number of ways to use these tips effectively. And I would love to know in the comments if you think I missed anything, if there's something else that you keep track of and you would recommend we all do as well. If you have any other videos you want me to make or tips and advice that I can share, let me know your ideas in the comments, because I really want all of these videos to be helpful and useful to you. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure and give this video a thumbs up if it helped you. I would love if you'd subscribe to join me on the journey, and I'll see you next week with another video. Have a great day.